I've never been a bargaining chip before. I've been a liability, a disappointment. I've also been an enigma, a problem, a headache. Ooh, little help. Ow.
Let's go out there, YouTube land and also social media lands. Welcome to an all new video. In this video, we're doing a movie review of a new film that just came out this past Friday, and is a new film from Pixar. So we're going to get right into that. Before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this video and any other videos I put up. As always, people, if you enjoy my content here on YouTube, definitely check out my other social media platforms, such as X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Patreon, TikTok. Pretty much posting these regularly, so definitely check them out. As always, let's get right into this. So welcome one and all to an all new video. So like I was saying before, we're doing a movie review of a new film that just came out last Friday, and is a film from Pixar, and their first original new material in quite a while, called Elio. Yeah! Elio! Yeah! Elio! So Elio is a new film from Disney Pixar. It's their first original film in quite a while. I believe this is the first original since basically Coco, I believe. And not a sequel or whatever. And I think that this whole plot, the whole thought process of this film was just done so well. This actually felt like classic Pixar to me. It was your basic story of a boy thinking that, you know, he's misplaced because of the loss of his parents. He thinks he has to go do this one thing and thinks he'll fit in better, but ends up realizing that he was in the right place to begin with. And it's your classic story that, you know, pretty much majority of Disney films and so forth always have kind of like that beginning, middle, and end that are, you know, basically like this round story of somebody figuring out they already have what they need. And that's basically what Elio did, and I loved how they did it. I thought that was a very impactful film, very emotional, but at the same time it had some great humor in it, and it had great animation, great soundtrack, and overall I thought it was just a really well done film. And I really enjoyed the whole concept of it, and how, you know, there's this giant, you know, embassy of you know, these alien ambassadors, which was really cool and interesting, and there's other aliens trying to get into their little club, so like that. I thought that was really cool. But the animation on this, I can't believe how realistic human movement is getting in these films, and it just is so amazing. And I think that Elio does a good job of just giving us something different too, but it was just really fun. But at the same time, it was so cute and fun looking, and it just looked really fun, and like it was meant to be for kids again. And that even though it has a very adult theme, I thought it definitely catered to an adult audience. I still think that a lot of kids would still enjoy it, even though that maybe, you know, some younger kids might, because they don't understand it. Or, you know, I feel that I've heard from some people, they thought that this film was boring, which I didn't find it boring at all. I was captivated the whole time I was watching it, and I thought it was really well done. Now, this film, you know, is kind of a combination directing style in this film. Several people that have worked on other Pixar or Disney films are a part of this film as the directors. One of them actually directed a feature film already. The other two this is their first directing feature film. They've actually directed shorts before. And I thought that was interesting that it was 3 collaborative people, you know, directing to make this film. And that happens to be then the actors, or the people known as Adrian Molina, Madeline Safran, and Domi Shi. Yeah! So Adrian Molina, Madeline Safrani, and Domi Shi. Yeah! So these 3 collaborators collaborated together to make this film, and I think they all did a really good job. I liked their collective thoughts that they came up with, and I think that they just made a really classic, fun Pixar film that felt like a Pixar film again. It didn't feel like there was something being pushed. It didn't feel like there was something stupid about it. It actually looked like it was like your classics from, you know, pre-2000s. I mean, we're looking at, you know, classics like Toy Story or Bug's Life, stuff like that. even like films like Up and so forth like that. I felt it had that same vibe. And I thought that Adrian, Madeline, and Domi did such a great job of giving us that really fantastic film and that great feeling again, that it felt like a real Disney film again. And I was really impressed with them because, all of them basically working on shorts, like I said, except for one of them who directed a feature-length film, I thought had a really great idea. And I think that they all worked really well together and combined together a really solid film. And I think you can see in the film there's definitely a lot of, from their shorts and from what they worked on, either storyboarding, whatever, you can see it. You can see it throughout the film and how each of them collectively added to it. And I think it made the film very entertaining, very fun, and just a really well-rounded film. So like I was saying, these two of them, Domi Shi and Madeline Safrani, have actually done shorts for Pixar in the past. One was Burrow, and then the other one, of course, was Bayou. And, of course, like I said, one of them did direct an actual feature film. They were a co-director on it, and that, of course, was Adrian Molina, who I think directed one of the best films in recent years, the last at least decade. And if you haven't seen kind of what kind of inspired Elio, definitely check out this film that he directed, because I think that a lot of the influence from that film really, went over into this film. And that, of course, the film called Coco. Yeah! Coco! Yeah! Coco is such an amazing film. Gives you a great idea about the Day of the Dead, about Mexican heritage and stuff like that. And that film was just so fun, so amazing, so just all around such a great film, great music, great acting by all the voice actors, and just the animation was so fun. And I just think it's a really superb film that really shows the great, directing by Adrian, and kind of gives you an idea of kind of where Domi and, Madeline were in the vibes too, because they also were, I think, storyboard artists on the film as well. And you can see how it bleeds into Elio, and just shows you how amazing they were at what they did. So they did a really fantastic job with Coco and just made it such a really amazing original film, and I can just see how that influenced Elio quite a bit. If you haven't seen anything Adrian has done as a director, definitely check out Coco for his directing abilities. He did a really great job with it. But overall, I really enjoyed Elio. I thought that all three directors did a really great job with it. They all made a really fantastic, fun film, and I think a really great addition to Pixar themselves, and just is a really well-rounded film. If you haven't seen it, go check it out now in theaters. So this film has a really small voice cast. Quite a few people are really not well-known voice actors, and really a lot of them haven't done much. And the ones that have, of course, are kind of the big characters in the film. But majority of the people that did voices overs, you look them up, you check them, check out their profiles and stuff like that. Pretty much, are kind of like little bits, pieces here. Video games, stuff like that. But overall, I think that this had all the voice cast did a great job. They all were fun, and they all made the characters very enjoyable and really well-rounded, and I thought that they all did such a great job, and I enjoyed listening to them as they brought these characters to life. So, to start us off is none other than Elio's aunt in the film, Miss Zoe Saldana! Oh yeah, Zoe Saldana! Woo! Zoe Saldana! So Zoe Saldana is just a really great actress. You might recognize her, of course, from the Avatar films. You might recognize her from Death at a Funeral. You might recognize her from a slew of things over the years. And is just a really fantastic actress that is usually always enjoyable in anything I've seen her in. I think she does a great job. I always find her characters very endearing. Sometimes her characters can be very irritating, but at times she just really comes to life and becomes a really great character actor. And I think that she brought a lot of great fun to Elio's aunt, who is taking care of him in the film. And I really enjoyed it. I felt like she really sounded sincere. She really sounded like an aunt, and taking care of her nephew, of her dead brother, and stuff like that. And I think that Zoe did a great job of really emphasizing certain points and really bringing them to life, and you could feel the emotion and everything that she brought to the character through the voiceover, and it just really resonated very well. I thought she did a really excellent job with the character, and I really felt like she did a good job of being this character too as well, that really brought an interesting characterization to this person who's supposed to be kind of like in the army, but really isn't. She's like kind of like space army type of deal, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I think that Zoe just did a really good job of portraying that very well through her voice, and just gave her a lot of great fun. And I think that she was a really great character. Now, if you haven't seen Zoe Saldana in anything or heard her voice in anything, definitely a great film to check out of hers. Is a great film that came out back in 2014 called Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. So Guardians of the Galaxy is the first film in the trilogy of the Guardians of the Galaxies. She plays, of course, a great character that is in that series. That is the love interest of Peter Quill, aka Chris Pratt's character. She plays the character very well. She is Gamora. She is awesome. She brings the character to life, and she just really, either you really hated her or you really loved her. And I kind of felt like throughout the series, until she got to Infinity War, I really disliked her as a character. But then she changed my whole thought process, how she acted in Infinity War, and I was just blown away. And she just was phenomenal as Gamora. And so seeing that kind of psychological and that physical kind of like alteration she portrayed as the character throughout the films just really was awesome. And so going back to her first initial supporting of Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy, she was just absolutely fantastic and kicked butt and just was really awesome. And I just think that film really shows her great talent, her great versatility, and how she's a really decent actor. And I think it flows into everything else she does so well. If you haven't seen Zoe Saldana or anything, definitely check her out in Guardians of the Galaxy. She was really superb. But overall, I really enjoyed her, presentation of her character in Elio. I think she was a really great choice. I think she did a great job. You felt her pain, you felt her happiness, you felt her kind of concern, and she just did a really good job of really elevating that voiceover to make you really resonate with her character. If you haven't seen her or anything recently, go check her out in Elio now. She was really fantastic. I just want to shout out the two of the other main characters that were in the film who don't have any prior history till this film doing voiceovers. And then, of course, is the voice actors of Elio, and then, of course, the voice actor of Glordon. And both of them are, of course, Jonas and Remy. And both of them did, I think, a fantastic job. I really enjoyed them both as the two characters. I thought they really worked really well together. And I think they really brought to life their characters. And, Glordon being this worm creature, I felt everything, all of his feelings and everything, even in that worm form that, pretty much was, emotionless for the most part, just looked like a worm. But I think that Remy did such a great job of portraying that through his voiceover that was just really fantastic. And then, of course, Jonas as Elio did such a great job, too, in bringing that to life and bringing that greatness to that character as well. And you could feel his emotion, too. So I have to give both of them props for how great I thought their characterizations were. And I thought that they did both a really great job. Now, that brings me to the final voiceover actor I'd like to talk about that was in this film. And that, of course, is Glordon's father himself, Mr. Brad Garrett. Oh, yeah, Brad Garrett. Woo, Brad Garrett, yeah. Absolutely love Brad Garrett. I think he's fantastic. Of course, you might recognize him from Everybody Loves Raymond. He had a brief part in the film The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. He's been in several films over the years. And his voice is very distinct. He's voiced a lot of characters. Of course, he was in so many Disney films, so it wasn't surprising that he'd come back for another Pixar film, because, of course, he did Bug's Life and many other ones. And, Brad is just one of those great comedic actors that brings his characters to life and is always super funny. And I think he brought a lot of great just flavor and really funniness to his character, or Glordon's father. And I think he was just absolutely fantastic. I loved the work. I thought it was really great. I thought it really brought the character to life. I thought it was super funny. And I also thought that he had a really great kind of like magnetism to him too. That was like, you could see that he was like tough and superior. He was the leader of the, of these worm guys. And I thought that was really epic, and I thought Brad did such a great job of bringing that to life and giving us this really great interpretation of this, character who is trying to get into this union, but they won't let him in because of how scary he is, which I think is absolutely hilarious, and Brad really brought that to life and gave us really fun with that. Now, if you haven't seen Brad Garrett, I think definitely a great film to check him out in that he has a pretty decent role, and I think it's a funny role that probably not a lot of people talk about. It is in a great film that came out a few years ago called The Pacifier. Yeah, The Pacifier. Yeah. So he did The Pacifier, and he plays the principal at the school where Vin Diesel is protecting kids that are from. And he is absolutely freaking hilarious in this role. He cracks me up. Just his precision and everything about it was just like on point comedy. And like he tries to be stern and everything, but at the same time you can just see he's kind of comical and he's kind of like doesn't know what he's doing and all this kind of stuff. And Brad just really shined his comedic talent in that film. And I think it doesn't get talked enough about because I think he was so superb as the character. And also, I just really enjoyed his interactions with all the different actors and actresses in that, especially with Vin Diesel. Him and Vin Diesel were absolutely freaking hilarious together. And I can only imagine the bloopers on that must have been super funny. But I think it was really well done and just a really fantastic role by Brad, and I don't think he gets enough credit. If you haven't seen Brad Garrett, definitely check him out in Pacifier. He was absolutely fantastic in it. But overall, I really enjoyed him in Elio. I thought he was a really great choice for this character, and he just did a phenomenal job that was so entertaining and so fun. If you haven't seen Brad Garrett recently, go check him out in Elio now. Absolutely fantastic. So what is Elio about? Basically, the premise of the story is Elio, this child, he wants to be abducted by aliens because he thinks that's the only way that he will be happy and that who will understand him. And that, his life is basically a shambles because his parents were killed and nobody likes him, and he thinks that his time on Earth is done and that he needs to go and be in space. And basically he ends up getting his wishes where aliens do contact him, and he goes up and helps with this negotiating and ends up, saving the day, and basically ends up finding out that he was in the right place the whole time, that he didn't need to go to space, and that, he just was, still trying to get over the death of his parents. It's a really well done film, really enjoyable, really thought it was fantastic. I give it a giant 10 golden boot boxes up, definitely want to add it to the collection. It was so much fun. I thought it was a really great film by Pixar. I thought it was back to their roots and it was so much fun. And just overall, I thought it was just a really entertaining film that was amazingly greatly done. The animation, the colors, everything about it was just so on point and fun. If you haven't seen Elio yet, go check it out in theaters now. Worth the watch. Giant 10 golden movie bucks up. Gonna add it when it comes out. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for liking, also thank you for subscribing. And if this is your first time here, or you have been before, don't forget to check out any other new videos if you haven't seen mine yet. As always, people, huge shout out to my followers, old and new. Thank you so much for being subscribers. As always, if you want to help support the channel, please check out my awesome Patreon page, where you get all kinds of extra crucial you don't get here on my YouTube channel, which, once you become a member, helps out the channel. The channel gives you more awesome content, so definitely check that out. As always, catch you next one.